Frank. What's the weirdest thing you've ever saw in here?
Let me ask you a question, kid. Did you see that movie, Night of the Living Dead?
Hey, we gonna party tonight or what?
Yeah, we are gonna party.
Well, where are we gonna party?
I don't know, somewhere.
Hey, we could go to the park.
Oh, no, we can't. The cops said they'd shoot us if we go back to the park.
Yeah, and I ain't in no mood to die tonight.
I like death.
Greetings, ghouls, and welcome to Minute 9 of Do You Want to Party, a Movies by Minute podcast of the 1985 groundbreaking classic, The Return of the Living Dead. I'm your host, Troy. Unfortunately, due to a scheduling snafu, I am doing a solo episode, but starting back again next week, we will be returning with a guest host. So note before we break down the minute, in the previous minute, certain information was conveyed to the audience, and due to the erratic nature of which the episode was recorded, the segment with the guest host was recorded well before the segment about the commentary track was. Information from the commentary track contradicts the information that I, the host, had put forth. In the edit of the episode, I had lost the fact that my information was conjecture as to not knowing the time that it was. What was thought to be found location was, in fact, a built set. Now, with that out of the way, Minute 9 begins with, "There's bodies in there?" and ends off with the beginning of a melting face. So to describe this particular minute in the movie, we are in the basement sequence. We are down in the cellar of the UNITA medical facility. Again, like we discovered last week, this is an actual built set, and it is not a downward going set. It is actually built from the ground up, and that the stairs lead up towards the ceiling of the building. And we have Frank and we have Freddy in the background of this opening shot, as the camera is still in the little alcove behind the actual canisters pointed towards them as they approach. Frank saunters towards the canister with a delighted smirk on his face. Freddy still can't believe that this is actually happening. And for a brief moment, and as a result of watching a movie 1 minute at a time, we get to see a bit more of Freddy's dress style, but more on that soon. We now get the first detailed view of the canisters, later to be known as Easter eggs. These were designed by William Stout, a renowned artist and production designer, and while we've been referencing his words over on the commentary track, let's now expand on his biography. William Stout is a legendary special effects makeup artist, illustrator, and designer who has made a significant contribution to the horror and science fiction genres. He began his career in the 1970s working as a freelance illustrator and designer on various publications and film productions. His breakthrough in the film industry came in his work in the 1981 Friday the 13th Part 2 and Friday the 13th Part 3D in 1982, where, in that particular movie, he was responsible for creating the iconic Jason Voorhees mask. Stout's work on Return of the Living Dead is arguably his most famous contribution to the horror genre. He designed and created the film's zombies, including the infamous Tarman and Trash characters. Also having worked on numerous other films, including Aliens from 1986, The Howling from 1981, The Thing from 1982, Conan the Barbarian from 1982, and Pan's Labyrinth in 2006. Stout has received several awards and nominations for his work, including an Academy Award nomination for Best Makeup for his work on Ed Wood from 1994. In addition to his film work, he also is a talented illustrator and designer, as previously stated. He has created artworks for various publications, including comic books, magazines, and novels. And his work has inspired countless other special effects artists, makeup designers, and illustrators. His contributions in the horror and science fiction genres have helped shape the visual aesthetic of many classic films. He shared his knowledge and experience by teaching and mentoring students in the special effects, makeup, and design. His career is a testament to his talent, dedication, and passion to the horror and science fiction genres. His work continues to inspire new generations of artists and filmmakers. So as we return to the minute in question, we have stenciled on the side in white lettering, Property, Department of the Army, Department of the Army, which seems a little weird just to call it the Army. In case of emergency, call 1-800-454-8000. The 800 number is a fictional number created for the movie. However, I did some digging and found out that in the early 80s, the number was not registered in any specific company or service. In the 90s and early 2000s, the number was used by various companies for marketing campaigns and promotions unrelated to the film. Currently, the number is registered to a company called Ring Central, a cloud-based communications platform. Calling it now just connects you to the Ring Central's customer service line. It is worth noting that the number has had some significance with fans, and some people reporting strange experiences or jokes when calling the number over the years. Frank, as he starts to unlock and flip the top lid, is so gleeful at this. Freddy seems stunned into a state of non-being. And then the reveal. What looks like a dried husk corpse with its own arms crossed over its shoulders. It should be noted that this is a downward view of the contents of the canister. And if the face is pointed directly up at the glass window, that means that the head must be arced back to get this view of the corpse. Respectfully so, Freddy is completely surprised and shocked, as he now realizes what Frank was saying was true. Frank laughing at the reveal and Freddy's reaction. He then grabs a glass cleaner and a roll of paper towel. He wipes off the glass for a clearer view, and once clean, Freddy leans in closer, but cautiously asks if these things don't leak, do they? To which Frank says, with pride, these things were made by the Army Corps of Engineers. And as you're watching this moment, you know what happens. And as expected, he hits the side of the canister, releasing a gaseous cloud of yellow vapor to escape, hitting both men squarely in the face, instantly dropping them to the ground, coughing and choking. As the camera now pans over the bodies of both Frank and Freddy, now lying coughing on the floor, Francis Haynes' Triaxon theme starts playing, giving the perfect soundtrack background to this incredible movie, paired with the punk-style music throughout. But now, for the more than that later, referring to Freddy's outfit. While the two victims are laying on their sides as the words, "A Fox Film Limited Production," shows on the screen, the camera is panning along Frank and Freddy to reveal a blue bandana tied around Freddy's left leg, as well as his cowboy boots. The camera continues to pan towards the canister, and it is still excreting the gas, which crossfades to a downward shot of the corpse inside. As the once sealed flesh becomes exposed to fresh oxygen, it begins melting. For the briefest of seconds, the film's title fades into existence before this minute ends. According to the script, again, a story and screenplay by Dan O'Bannon, revised version October 1983, based on a story and screenplay by John Russo, Rudy Ritchie, and Russell Steiner. The sequence, in comparison to the final film, is exactly as it is stated in the script. From what Freddy and Frank say, to what's stenciled on the side of the canister, to the reveal of the corpse inside, even going as far as to mention the camera movement to show the corpse beginning to dissolve. Over on the commentary track, which features director-writer Dan O'Bannon and production designer William Stout. William Stout begins by talking about how doing the extra detailing on the canisters as the camera pans down the actual canister on the shot, and he says how he used tons and tons of acrylic paint to do all the accented details on it. Then director Dan O'Bannon brings up the whole entire uncomfortability of the yellow smoke that is about to make its way into the movie. He had a request for it to actually be yellow smoke, and the only way that they could conceivably come up with yellow smoke at the time was to use a sulfur-based gas. He then asks William if he remembers the smell, and how that only shooting after a few minutes in the yellow gas gave him quite a headache. That being Dan O'Bannon. Dan then goes on to illustrate what Frank is doing right now as he cleans the glass off of the porthole window of the canister. And once in the movie Frank hits the canister, Dan O'Bannon points out that's the sulfur smoke that has a terrible smell and is quite nasty stuff to deal with. William then mentions that he remembers that they had to have the fans blowing for several days just to get rid of the smell. Then Dan concludes the subject matter of the yellow smoke by mentioning, well, it's what I asked for, and that's what I got was yellow smoke. He then goes on to start talking about the melting corpse effect just as we come up to the end of this particular minute. So once again, according to the Internet Movie Database, there are 108 facts about The Return of the Living Dead. This segment brings up 3 of those facts so that we use a random roll generator to pick them. So the first randomly selected fact is random fact number 73. O'Bannon figured the film would appeal solely to guys that included trash's nudity for that reason. But he was surprised to discover has many female fans. I'll never make that mistake again, he says, adding that going forward, his nudity would be equal opportunity, even though guys statistically go to films to see nudity significantly more than women do. In fact, male nudity has been proven to keep guys from seeing films more than female nudity drives female viewers away. How appropriate for us to be talking about this particular fact when the previous minute was a bit of a discussion about Leanna Quigley's nudity as part of our conversation. All right, so randomly generated fact number 13. In an upcoming minute, keep an eye out for the eye test poster. Seen most clearly after Frank and Freddy run into Bert's office after hearing the first reanimated cadaver. Spoilers. In Bert's office, it actually reads, Bert is a slave driver and a cheap son of a bitch who's going bald too, ha. If you put the letters together. Randomly generated number 32. And it seems like we can't get away from Leanna Quigley's nudity. Leanna Quigley originally danced to the song Nasty Girl by Vanity during the filming for her famous cemetery striptease. Nasty Girl was replaced later by the song Tonight We Make Love Until We Die by Stacey Swan. I highly doubt the fact of Leanna Quigley's nudity will definitely be popping up constantly throughout this podcast. So that's going to be bringing us to the end of minute 9 of Do You Want to Party, the Movies by Minute podcast for The Return of the Living Dead. Apologize for the slightly shorter than usual episode, but when there isn't much for me to riff off of with another character or obviously co-host, it makes for a little bit of a boring sort of thing, so I apologize. And like I stated at the beginning of the episode, from this point on, we should be getting to fuller co-hosted episodes much better than this particular episode. But if you have anything that you want to discuss or bring up about previous minutes or upcoming minutes, be sure to reach out to us at our Gmail at planetgeekpod@gmail.com, and we'll continue on the conversation, and who knows, maybe even bring up the conversation during a particular podcast in the future. So once again, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next Wednesday. You've just been listening to a Planet Geek production of Do You Want a Party? A Movies by Minute podcast of the 1985 The Return of the Living Dead. Please be sure to subscribe, download, comment, share, rate, and review. Be sure to follow us on our social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Tumblr, or Letterboxd. Search for Planet Geek Productions. X, former Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky, search for planetgeekpod. Or send us an email to planetgeekpod@gmail.com. Our closing music is provided by Night Chill. See the show notes for more details. Once again, thanks for tuning in, and farewell, fiends.